Hey Collective, and welcome back to Altruistic Channels. Today's video is going to be dedicated towards the concept of grounding your dreams into a 3D reality by emotional use. And what I mean by that is that sometimes when we have really big dreams, or that we're facing a leveling up situation where either spiritually or economically we're now moving into a different category in life, where we're suddenly finding our dreams coming true or whatnot, or we're on the verge at least, we start to find ourselves running up against a wall that we all know about. But one of the things that I've learned for myself to get around such things is that I start to add some emotional depth to the conversation so as to really give it the 3D reality a nice substance. And what I mean by that is a lot of people in the collective are facing a leveling up. Things have changed, and a lot of karmic debt is being paid back in a positive or negative way. And so one of the things I noticed with my particular situation is that I can feel the changes happening, and I can feel the pull of something really big coming. And so what I've done in order to really give myself the right anchor into the reality world, into 3D, is I look at it from the context of what does it mean into my emotional background. And so without living in the past, what I've learned to do is think about what it took for my ancestral line to get me where I'm at. And what I mean by that is I have a really big dream about helping raise the vibration of the collective, and doing it in a way that's in partnership with really important people who are also world teachers who are trying to do something for the betterment of man, right? But we're not trying to do it by ourselves, because that's just crazy. That's, cray land. And instead what we're trying to do is form a collective vision, and that's what the turquoise leadership is all about, right? That's one of the things that Spiral Dynamics talks about. It's a new way of thinking about the world. But sometimes the greatest thing we can do for ourselves is make it so that it counts for us, because it helps keep our values and our ethics in place. If we can ground the truth of how this all came to be into the vision, and that makes the universe, if you will, react more in kind, because it's seeing that you actually have thought it out and you really put a lot of thought into it. And so when I was looking at this concept of leveling up, one of the things that came across my dreamscape was, well, you would be the first millionaire in your family. And I thought about what that meant, and I thought, well, that's interesting. And I didn't really give it much depth, but my inner monologue kept going, no, think about this, put some weight into it, what does that mean to you? And I realized what was nagging at me was that it wasn't my million, it was my family millions. It was the legacy of what it took for them and all the sacrifice they did in their lifetimes to get me to a place where someone with my educational background, or someone with my intuitive skill set, or someone who's a little bit odd would even have the possibility to dream such things for their future. And I started to really quantify what it must have been like for the past generations. Some of them, had gone from royalty to poverty. Some of them had gone from wealth to orphanages. Some of them had been in third world countries. Some of them had been thrown in jail. The Moro Kings start our legacy with one of our princes, one of the guys from Moro King Castle, who was thrown in a Moroccan jail. And there's so much question about what that was like and what he went through, and that's how we ended up with the name Moro King, is because of we were white. And so when you start to look at the familial history, you start to realize what it took them and what they went through. And when you look into stuff like that, you can't help but really feel the love from your ancestral line, that they are willing to make you the one person who is the receiving end of all of that positive karma. For every struggle that we go through in this world, there is a positive outcome, right? It's part of the learning academy. But sometimes they can be a little bit harder than others. And sometimes I look at my ancestors and I go, well, you really sacrificed a lot. I mean, I have an Archbishop of Guatemala in my bloodline, and then I have a lot of priests from the Mayan temple in my bloodline. And I was thinking about all of the hard decisions that they had to make, war, all of the things that they did involving, Catholic war against other religions and all of that type of thing. And I started to really value the legacy that I am, and everything that even my eye color represents, or my hair, or the gray in my beard, and how that's all bits and pieces of each person that has come before me. And the idea that I would be the first millionaire indicates that the universe thinks that I'm worthy, because I already know I am. And so when these two things collide, it takes the dream into a very grounded state, which is, okay, well, you have a responsibility then to not waste it, to not sit there and just, look at it from a standpoint of like, oh, well, I earned it, as opposed to you, well, possibly, but you also were being handed it to you by your family, by the people who have passed on, that went through, if you're African American, slavery, or if you were Chinese and you were here during the Chinese concentration camps, or the Jewish whole thing that happened with the Jews and all of the genocide that happened there. All of the luck that is coming to us is based a lot on ancestral karma, and that's a really great way to really grab some value to your blessings and to understand that you're not lucky, you're blessed. And you're blessed not just by the higher sense of self or your soul. You're blessed because your family ancestral line is saying, you're the one that we think shows the most merit. You're the one who we think has the purest heart. You're the one who has the true courage to see this all the way through and build us a legacy that will carry the Arevalo Maro King, in my case, family line down the road, and leave a legacy that will change the world. You're the one that has the vision that we believe will make everything right for our family, and that you will beget a legacy that will make it right, so that we can come back. Let's say, if you believe in reincarnation, we're going to add some depth to it. We're going to come back in your family, and we're going to have all of what we're handing to you karmically paid back to us when we arrive as your children, grandchildren, or whatnot. And I thought about how much beauty was in that ideology and that way of thinking, and I realized how important my own mother's life was and what she went through, and the fact that she tried to raise a kid in the South, which I'm missing right now, by the way. I really want to move back to the South. I don't know, Georgia or maybe Louisiana. I'm figuring it out. But what I'm saying is that what she sacrificed in her life to ensure that I had the best, and that she never made it to 50 years old. I thought about what that would mean to her in a spiritual sense, to understand that her kid did good, and her kid has a vision that is going to help humanity in a way that's not combative or dictatorish, but in a way that's just very about beauty and about bringing the architect through as a vessel and to be of service. And I thought, well, what better way to make that million, whatever it is. I mean, it doesn't have to be, but we're going with what a lot of people are talking about when they level up. A lot of people equate leveling up with materialism. I'm more of a spiritual person, but I do understand that a byproduct of what I'm trying to do is going to be money, and I'm working on investments and stuff, because of the fact that I realized all of her sacrifice. And then I thought about my grandmother's life, and I'd written an article about my grandmother and what she went through. And then I thought about what it must have been for my great-grandfather to have so much money and to gamble it away and die as an alcoholic, and all of the addictions that I've been through, and how they're handing me, and even the Archbishop of Guatemala and what he went through, and some of how he and I tie together. And I realized that I was being handed this opportunity in my life to really go for it, to really examine the best of our 3D reality in a way that honors them, honors the Mayans that I come from, and honors the royalty from Spain. And how do I merge that into a way that carries with it grace and gratitude, right? Because it's all about gratitude. And so as I thought about it, the dream started to become something really, really textured, something that I could visually see and also emotionally attach myself to without looking to the past, without looking to the fact that they did sacrifice, instead looking at what the karma was going to be for my family, for my lineage now going forward. And what it did is it made the dream real. And it made it real in a way that I immediately started to look at who are the right people for my vision. It doesn't matter if people have a lot of money. Are they going to fit into what my family legacy is built on? It's not just my vision, it's not just my dream, it's something that God is handing to me, and it comes from them. It's like a network, if you will, of spiritual endorsement. And that takes a lot of weight, and that takes a lot of energy to pass to someone who is an underdog. And so I thought about what that would be like, and I immediately started to pick the right people for different projects, and I honor that with loyalty. So until I get a no on any one of these things, they stay with the house that I see that might be that would want to work with it, and I honor them, but I'm not a pushover. And so having that strength to figure out what the contracts are going to be and all that stuff is something that's being handed to me by even ancestors that I don't necessarily know. Like, that comes more probably from my great-great-great-grandfather, who was a royalty. That would be someone who probably understands more about things that I may not. But it's an intuitive quality that starts to perk up when you reconnect with that energy that your ancestors have given you. I know that for a lot, I'm from Louisiana, so a lot of African Americans have been through hell and high water, and their families passed them such great break karma, and it's that essence of they know things that we have never understood. We've never been through it. So when you get that value and you understand that you're so worthy because you found your worth, that now your ancestors see that you're the right person to carry this out for them and for you, you start to look at not just partnerships and who you want to be with, but you start to look at the soul quality. Are they honest? Are they sincere? Do they have ethics? Do they have morals? Are they able to unite the planet, or are they still dividing it? And you start to really think about why that's relevant to your family line and how that makes it so much more important for you to succeed. And instead of adding pressure, it adds beauty to your resonance, and it makes people understand why you're driven and why you're the right person for whatever the task is that the divine's handing you. And so I started to then look at things immediately, like investments. What charities do I want to build? What is the charity that doesn't exist that I want to be at the head of? Who's going to be in that charity? What characteristics, not people, because I don't name the puppy until I know what's going on. But what is the charity work that I'm going to be involved in? How much money am I going to be donating towards autism research and about vaccination research? And what am I going to be doing as far as the homeless plight in the world? I mean, there's a genocide going on right now, and people aren't seeing it because it's being done behind closed doors. And I wanted to do something with like undercover work, which I think I'm going to throw towards Ace over at Anderson Cooper. But the thing is, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, it has to do with the quality and the substance of what I want to leave in that legacy. And it adds that joy and rejoice from my ancestral line, and it gives me the courage and the bravery at times to say no if I have to say no and walk away, because it's not something that you're hungry for. It's something that the divine is connecting you with, something even higher than just consciousness. It's your family, and they are not, they're there because they're trying to root you on and support you. So you can't let them down, but not in a way that makes you feel victimized, in a way that makes you feel extremely empowered. And so as we level up, as the collective moves into this new phase of reality where we really, really start to understand that a lot of us are going to be blessed with family karma in a positive way, because a lot of us have gone through we had to go through the fire first. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of us have had very, very hard lives, or have had really dark periods in our chapters, where now that the page is changing and we're going into chapter 10 or whatever it is, the blessings begin, because the family karma and your karma are now uniting in a way that creates all of the positivity that will propel you forward. And I thought for the collective that was a really, really important message to bring forward. So as those of you who understand that you are going to be the first millionaire in your family, how do you then ensure that that million becomes 10 million? And what do you do with that extra 5 million or whatever? Are you going to be greedy and self-centered? Are you going to be about you only? Or are you going to just take care of yourself, take care of your children, ensuring that they have their legacy? And how much money will that take? And then when you get to that point, how much money are you going to be donating? How much money are you going to be spending on trips? Like, I get it. Like, a lot of people like trips. I'm a very humble person. I like the States. I might go to France once or something, but I'm not going to be taking a lot of extravagant trips, because the world around me already affords me all the beauty I need, so I don't really need to travel far. But I would like to see a lot of different ethnicities and go visit different countries, and I want to do that project with Anderson Cooper. And so there's things that take me around the world, but it's not like I want to do that for vacation. That's business. And so did you quantify what it is that makes business and what is pleasure? And then how much money are you going to be spending on the pleasure aspects, and keep to that budget. Most of us in this situation have never really had a lot of money. So one of the biggest tricks that can happen is that we fail at the beginning because we spend the money in the wrong way, or we don't save the money where we need to save it. Those of you who are spiritually connected know that the world is changing right now, and a lot is going to be happening. How much money are you putting aside for the inevitable drop? And then how long do you think that will be? And it's not like you're thinking negatively. It's you being an adult and honoring the fact that your ancestors have died and paid the karma for you to be responsible with your choices. And I thought that would be a really inspirational message for a Monday for those of you out there who are about to level up. What is it that your platform is? What is your vision for humanity? How do you give back to society and keep that going? I'm not judging anybody, but I see a lot of very important people who have, not the people I'm talking about, that I'm trying to talk to, but people around that are famous, who are very self-centered, right? And that's nothing bad because I don't judge people. But what I wonder is, do they ever feel empty? Are you putting yourself in a situation where you think that the money will solve all things, where I'm the complete opposite? The money gives me the ability to help other people. But what I'm valuing is the experience that it brings to others, moreover than the material, right? But if you focus your energy on the material side of it, then at some point you become stagnant. There's nothing there for you anymore. Yes, you can become really financially successful in this world, and that's great. But what about the long-term effects? You don't get to take that with you. Your family doesn't get honored in that experience. But if you build a library, or you build a school, or you build a new community that is vaccination free, whatever it is that brings your legacy into a reality, honors their life, right? And you'll get it in dreams, and you'll get it in the higher consciousnesses communicating with you. And I know it sounds frou-frou, but you all know what I mean. It's that intuition, and we have so much that we don't know yet because we don't want to open those doors and look into the dark and see the truth. Because once you do that, then it removes the fear. But what are you doing with the legacy that you want to lead? Is it going to be a legacy where you just bought a lot of houses for yourself and you leave your kids a certain couple $1 million? That's your legacy? Or do you want to honor your ancestors with your journey, and you want to ensure that everything that they went through is honored in your experience? Because that makes it a karmic wheel rotation. It brings your family with you, and everybody then gets to use that wonderful positive energy to move it forward, and for them to have a legacy when they're reborn, if you believe in reincarnation. When they come back to the academy, their experience will be that much better. It will be their reward cycle because they did the right choice. They made the right choice in you. And so when you think in terms of that type of leveling up, then whatever comes your way becomes easier to see through the fog and the smoke, right? Because here's one of the interesting parts about leveling up, is that sometimes you need to swim with the sharks. And you are not necessarily a shark. But if you're a wise orca, you understand that just a couple of orcas can tear apart a shark in about a second. Right, we've seen videos on it on Discovery and all that stuff. You know, the shark isn't the predator in the ocean. The orca is the predator, though. They can tear apart anything, especially if they get in like a 3-pack. They'll destroy anything that comes, even great whites. And so you understand that that's not your goal, but you understand that your ancestors are the warriors that you are made of. And when you stand in your power and in your truth, anything that's not of truth, integrity, that's built on lies, hypocrisy, corruption, you will immediately look at and go, no. Absolutely not. And anyone that's part of your circle will immediately go, nope, that's a no. Look at his face. See those eyes? That's not changing. And then, there's compromise, of course, but there's certain things that shouldn't be compromised. And when you find your worth and you understand your honor and your truth, and if the divine, especially if you're divinely guided level upper, you know that comes a point when if you don't do the right thing, there's going to be an issue. And instead of feeling like it's pressure, you feel like it's an honor. And you feel and you carry that value with you. And it makes other people unable to fuck with you, essentially. Because at some point you just look at them and you go, no, my family didn't die. They didn't go through the hell that they went. They didn't go through slavery. They didn't go through the orphanages. They didn't go through the depression. They didn't go through all of that stuff. So I would sit here and compromise my value system. I don't think so. And you do that in a way because you're now honoring the new world, the non-hypocritical, non-materialistic world. But you understand the value of it. You're just balancing. This generation of level uppers that we are is a rebalancing. We're not trying to get rid of anything. It's not anything like that. It's that we forgot how to have value for humanity. We don't value people, we value money. And so we are the generation that is here to just rebalance that and bring the value back onto the human experience. How do we help the collective raise their vibration? How do we reach people who are willing to look and discover new wonderful things? With the education system being the way it is, a lot of people are turned off. So how do we do that in the spiritual sense without overstepping our bounds? Everybody has their religion and they should have their religion. But where does their loyalty lie? Is it to the house or is it to their believer in whoever created them? I call it the architect. Some people call it the divine. Whatever, or God, or Allah. Whatever it is. Is your loyalty to the material 3D representation of that? Or are you about the word as opposed to the book? But dealing with that is one of those controversial topics. But lucky for me, I have archbishops and I have Mayan priests. And so part of my legacy will be, without telling people what to do, if someone asks me a question, I will have the answers because I've done the research. And so that type of honor and that type of bravery is something built into each of us. And those of you who are leveling up at this time in the first millionaires of your family, in this specific era of time, in this reset of civilization, you are leading the empire that's going to be built in your name. But it's not just your name, it's their name. And they're going to come back and reap the rewards from what they've given to you and what you have done with it. And so as you look at this wonderful new reality that we are forming, as the collective levels up and as a lot of us reach a new stance in life where we are able to look at things for what they are and understand that where the good, there's bad. Like you can't annihilate all things, but what is it that your legacy will be built on, and how does that honor the family line that has given you this great karmic wheel to turn in your favor? And I thought that was a beautifully powerful moment for us to all share. What is your platform? How do you see the world improving from the work that you're going to be doing? Are you dividing the planet? Are you continuing hate? Are you continuing bigotry, sexism, homophobia? If that's your gain, then how could you ever truly want that to be your legacy? Not all of your family will have ever agreed to hate. Most of your family that's giving you this good karma would agree to love. And I'm not a hippie, but love does really answer all things. If you can find your soul partner, if you find someone that really values you and finds your quirkiness of interest and a turn on, then you two will build something truly remarkable, and it blows everybody else out of the water. One of the most divisive things that we have in the world is religion, and I'm not speaking negative about. I'm just saying that people allow someone else's faith or religion to stop them from ever truly experiencing love. If you are so busy thinking that you know it all because of something that's already been in play, then how will you ever look up to see when the big guy returns? You won't, because you will think that you already know the answer. That's not a legacy. That's not growth. We're here to learn. So never underestimate the fact that you are still learning. And though I don't want to challenge anybody's faith, because I do honor all faiths, understand that you can't look up and see someone coming if you're busy looking down and thinking you already know. And so that's one of the things that I'm going to be working on with people who want to talk about stuff like that. But not in a controversial way. We have this fear indoctrination that we must abide by certain rules, but we don't ever venture out of that. Why? Because people think that new ideas are dangerous. But we're at a reset, and the old ideas aren't working. Look at what's happening around us. So how does your new path, your first million, affect the whole? And that's kind of one of the things that we'll be graded on, if you will, as a collective, is how do we take responsibility for our own value, our own life, and stand up for ourselves while still honoring the fact that it affects others in a ripple effect? And how do we do our best due diligence to ensure that our family line is represented in truth, honor, integrity, and value, and valor, I should say, as you build your new empire? And will that empire be something that they would want to be born back into, or will it be something made of just materialism and silliness? Because that's the illusion, right? The illusion is that money answers all things. No, the love of your life answers all things. Your children answer all things. And I just wanted to leave you guys with that message for today. I find that one of the greatest ways to really, really ground your dream is to remember who built it, and that it's not just yours. That someone really loved you so much to say, I will sacrifice my good karma that's coming to me to honor you, because I know that you're the investment, the return of investment that will ensure that my future down the road, when I come back around, will be one of honor, integrity, value, and courage. And I think that's a wonderful message for this Monday. You guys have a blessed day. Bye.